Hey guys, how's it going? This will be the March update for Delorean VIN 3430, the restoration. This also marks 1 year of ownership for me. Actually, the 6th of March was the day I got it in 2020. And if you've been following my posts since then, you can see how far I've come in just 1 year. It's been crazy. So I never thought I'd actually own a DeLorean, let alone rebuild one. So it's pretty cool. And I've had a ton of fun along the way. So if you probably saw the videos of me driving it and the time lapse of us putting it back together. That was a few weeks back, or at least the putting it back together was a few weeks back, and then driving it was just a couple weeks ago. So that was a really fun weekend. I spent a lot of time hooking everything back up to get it running again, so I could take it for a drive. Only to on my first attempt to drive, not be able to get it into gear because I forgot to transfer a fitting over from the old clutch slave to the new clutch slave, because I don't know, for whatever reason, I just must have been moving too fast, or I just didn't realize that that was a piece that needed to be installed. But without it, I was bottoming out the clutch line, and then the clutch line wasn't making a seal on the slave cylinder. So somehow I was able to bleed it, but I guess I wasn't putting enough pressure to blow it out. But once I had the car running and then stepping on the clutch, it just blew right past that fitting, and I put a bunch of brake fluid all over the ground. So once I figured that out, fixed that up, and the following weekend gave it another try, which is the video you see of me driving around my circle out here in front of the house. It's been a while since I've driven a stick, so getting it going initially was a little sporty, but it was a lot of fun, because that was the first time for me to actually have driven a DeLorean. So it was a cool day. But anyway, as far as the stuff I've done since then, so here's the accumulator dryer. I've got it all hooked up. The air conditioning lines are connected. You can see under here, under there and there. So the evaporator core comes out of the firewall. The evaporator hooks up to one of the lines coming out, and then this line going over to the condenser hooks up there. I did have to finagle this quite a bit to get it to not interfere with the shock tower, this particular line here. And so I ended up kind of pushing this line further back, and I still have to do some adjustment in the back of the car to tie the lines up and stuff, so they won't be, flopping all over. So anyway, so that's done. All the wiring is kind of in place down in here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's all back in there, tied up as neat as I can get it. I got the cowl installed. I've got the stainless screws, and then I found some, I know when I took this out, I had like little pieces of rubber pipe or rubber tubing cut up as little spacers underneath the screws in there. And I thought that was rather cheesy. So I found some holster spacers actually that were the right size, and put those in. I cleaned up the cowl itself, and then put some of that plastic restorer on it to clean it, to make it, bring back kind of the black shine, so it looks pretty nice. Other than that, yeah, I got the brake master cylinder hooked up and bled. Brakes work, well. I wasn't going fast, so I'll give them a proper test, sometime later once the car's a little bit more complete. I did have an issue with my steering rack, so not the rack itself, but the mounting brackets. So here's my old mounting bracket. This is just another case of my inexperience. So there's supposed to be another piece of metal right here that comes up and creates like a groove for the steering rack to drop into. So this is the squared side. And the steering rack would drop into this and then hold it from shifting back and forth inside the car, so it wouldn't, you know, can't shift this way. Which, if you ask me, this, I can't believe that is what what it's meant to do. It's a very small piece of metal, very weak in my opinion. So I don't know if anybody's come up with a better way to mount and secure the steering rack, but to me that just seems to be way under engineered. So and I think actually this probably broke off quite a long time ago, because I don't know if you can tell, but in my frame there's actually kind of an indentation right in here where the steering knuckle kind of rotates around, and I don't know how common that is or not, but I think that's from the knuckle actually hitting the frame repeatedly, spinning around, because the steering rack had so much, you know, lateral play in it. But anyway, that's fixed now. I just ordered a new old stock plate and then installed it the other day, so that's good to go. Clutch master's hooked up. Still kind of debating how I really want to route this line. I kind of have it going up and over the brake booster, but it kind of sits on it, so I don't know how well that'll hold up. It's going to be rubbing against it and vibrations and stuff. I hope it doesn't, you know, I don't want it to rub through, so I might try and reorient that so that is kind of out in free space rather than laying against the brake booster. It might be fine, but I'd rather not have an issue with that going, you know, down the road. Yeah, that's pretty much it there. You see my lights work. It's almost like it's a real car now. I got to test out my HVAC. The HVAC, everything works. As far as the heat, I still got to do the air conditioner. I still got to charge it, you know, pull a vacuum and charge it, and then try to test it out. I'm hoping to do that soon. I plugged in my clock panel, and surprisingly, my clock works. It comes up, all the digits show up, and it's bright. And you know, I know it seems like a lot of people say that the clock doesn't work. I'm pretty sure it's the original clock. But I guess I'm not 100% on that, but I'm sure as soon as I try and set it or something to the right time, that's when it'll break. But anyway, the rheostat that was in the car was toast. Actually, here's the innards of the rheostat. Looks like the previous owner had a nice previous owner mod there, tying the terminals together to kind of jumper it out and get the dash lights to work. But I'd like to go LED, so the rheostat's going to be kind of OBE at that point anyway, so I'm going to probably just fashion a jumper for these. I have two of them jumped already, and I'll connect the third one with just another jumper terminal or something. I tested my window motors and my center locking. And my center locking seemed to be working, kind of, but I think everything in the door needs to be lubricated because it was working hard. But both locking cylinders in each door work, so that's cool. The window motor in the driver's side, I can hear it going, but it's not moving the window. And then the window motor on the passenger side does nothing when I hit the switch. And I determined it wasn't the switch because I tried each switch in both positions, and it, you know, the passenger side switch works on the driver's side door. So there's either a broken connection somewhere here between, you know, the switch and the motor, or the motor is just not working. Or I might have a lot of work to do inside the doors anyway. I just haven't gotten there yet because I know that the doors are just going to be a huge undertaking. So I'll get there eventually. I did lubricate the latches, and I did set back the striker on the rear on the passenger, so that the passenger drawer opens and shuts right now like a dream. I still need to adjust the strikers on the driver door because it hangs a little bit, but they both open so much better since I just shot them with a little bit of WD-40 and kind of wiped them down a little bit. And you almost feel like you're not doing anything because you're just squirting a little bit of WD-40 up in here, but it's all it really needs. And then they just open great. So, a couple other nitnoid things. A while back, I bolted down my roof. I initially had bolted it further forward, but then my roof was kind of pulling up still, so I drilled new holes and moved this back further, and then the other day I sealed them up. And then I had put stainless steel bolts in here. A few people had kind of advised me that that's like not a good idea to have stainless here, so I went ahead and just put normal, 10.9 class bolts in there instead for the torsion bars. So back here in the engine bay, I have the adjustable Otterstat replacement here. I'm still trying to decide where I want to mount this because, I mean, half the reason I went to carb and HEI was to get rid of all this junk in the back of the firewall, so I kind of don't want that hanging out in my face, but so I'm thinking about where to go with that. And I'm thinking maybe I might mount it inside the left pontoon here behind this closing panel, but I'm still thinking about that. And then I do have some other wires I still need to kind of bundle up and tie up into the wire harness. And then there's my full voltage coil, and then the charging voltage to it, and then the white and the slate goes on the negative side, and the solid white's on the positive with the capacitor here, or I think that says resistor. I can't remember what that goes to. The yellow that needs to hook up on the positive side too. But yeah, that's all there. I wasn't gonna buy this right now, but I ended up with an automatic antenna because I found the model that people buy on Amazon, an Amazon warehouse deal for $8. So if you don't know about Amazon warehouse deals, try and look for those, because I've bought so many things on a warehouse deal that have come and the box is damaged or whatever. You know, it's like something that somebody bought and sent back, and they didn't. Sorry. Because they didn't want it, and then Amazon sells it at a steep discount. So I got the $70 antenna for $8, and everything's there, and it's perfect. So that was awesome. So, and then I got the radio antenna bracket to mount back there. So I know I got a little bit of modification I'm gonna have to do to get this in there, but I have the parts already. So, and then I started attaching the stainless steel front brackets. I did the first two. I still got 3 more to do. And I did finish pretty much stripping all the paint. I've got them all cleaned up. The hood's all cleaned up. All the fenders are done. The only door I got, or the only part I have to finish is the driver door. So I still got to do that guy. One other thing, I put a new hood release cable in. Is the cable that was in my car was obviously had broken at some point, and to make it work, they bent this back tab over, to bring the cable closer to the handle, and it was just a frayed up mess back here. So I bought a new cable, and the housing is $20, from Houston, and installed that the other day. I pulled the bracket out, bent it back into shape, painted the handle, and put everything back in. I would have replaced this bolt, but it's got a hole drilled through it for the cable itself. So, other than this little bit of rust on the end of it, it was in good shape. So, not too worried about that. Then I got the Speedo box hooked up. The speedo cable, that was the other thing I was wondering about. So the speedo cable is just flopped all in there. Can you see that? Yeah. So it's like 8 inches too long or something. You know, I don't know if people just leave it hanging like this or they tie it up somehow. I'm not sure, but I gotta look into that. One of the things I did in this last summer was powder coat the wheels. I probably have talked about that, but they looked so nice. They came out so nice. They were trash basically when I got the car. You know, all the paint was flaking off and they just looked like junk. And I wasn't sure how it would work out, but I took them down to the powder coater and they were like, "Oh yeah, we can blast these and powder coat them. They'll be just fine," you know. So I did that, and they look brand new. So if anybody's on the fence about powder coating, I definitely recommend it. Here's my spare. That's about how the other wheels looked, only they were worse. And this one probably was just a mouse house for a while. But, anyway, I might be wondering why I have the weights up in the front. I had a whole bunch of weight in the front of the car to weight up the suspension so I could torque it down. After I put the car together, I did that. So I just haven't taken the weights out yet. I guess that's about it. It's a lot of work summed up in, well, 17 minutes I've been talking now, so that's the longest video yet. But anyway, as always, thanks for watching, following along. If you guys got any suggestions or ideas, let me know. I appreciate it. See ya.